Hi, and welcome back to session 5 of the JA Success Skills program. As a reminder, we are going to be using the adapted outline as provided from JA of South Dakota instead of the guidebook that was provided in the kit. Today's activity is all about thinking with win-win solutions in mind. It's all about conflict resolution. Last time we talked about cooperation, and we always know sometimes there's not a perfect answer and sometimes we have conflicts that arise. And so today we want to talk about the importance of win-win solutions. Once again, there's a lot of flexibility in this activity, and a couple of the options that you will find in the guidebook as well as online are some supplemental information on a handshake game, a red-green game. We always invite you to create your own scenarios as we work through this activity with your own personal examples, as well as we encourage you to discuss conflict styles that are out there, and that information is found in this guide on page 26. On page 27, you will see the skills for the day, which are to resolve conflict and negotiate, and to convey ideas in writing. The materials you are going to need for this activity is the Resolve Conflict poster, as well as the scenario cards. The concept of win-win can be really abstract for students, and so we encourage you to share some sort of example. You can use the example we've outlined, or maybe you have an example from your personal experience. But for example, think about if a family wanted to go on a family vacation. And maybe I want to go to the beach because I enjoy boating and I like to be relaxed in the sun. But my parents really want to go to a setting that's really peaceful and has hiking. They really want to go to the mountains. Well, a win-win solution is if my sister would come in and say, you know what, how about we go to a cabin on the lake? That way I can stay beachside and they still have the opportunity to go on some trails that are in the area. We would both be happy and neither one of us would have to give up our priorities. That is a great example of a win-win solution. And that's what we really want the students to think about in how they can formulate those types of solutions when they have conflict in their lives. Some of the vocabulary that you want to make sure to highlight in your introduction is lose solutions and win solutions. And after you talk a little bit about some of the personal experiences that you've had as well as what the students might be able to offer, we want you to jump into some scenarios. So again, we're going to get the students really trying to think about how this relates to their real life and how they would apply the knowledge that they're learning. So what you want to do, depending upon the size of your class, is to break the students up into anywhere between 6 and 9 small groups. You will notice that there are 3 different scenarios, but there's multiple sheets of the same scenario. So even though you have 6 to 9 different groups, there are 3 different scenarios that the students are going to be working off of. So some of the groups are going to have the same scenario throughout this activity. Once the students get into their small groups, they're going to read their specific scenario, and what their task is to think about what would they do, how would they resolve this conflict. You'll notice that on the bottom there are some great prompting questions for them to consider in making their solution. So what they're going to do is they are going to work for a few minutes in their small groups and kind of come up with what their group thinks. And then what you want to do is you want to partner some of the groups that have the same scenario with one another. So you want to partner some of the groups that have no help, have them come together and have them then consider what were some of the similarities in their situations and what were some of the differences that they thought of doing. And maybe possibly as they continue that conversation, try to encourage them to formulate one final solution that they want to report to the whole class. So again, this is going to get them to see, hopefully, each of the small groups maybe brainstorm things in a little bit of a different way. They might have had some different perspectives. And so this is going to show them that there's not necessarily always one answer, but that they really need to work to find a great solution to whatever conflict that they might have, even though there might be more than one answer to that solution. To finalize the activity, bring the students' whole group and have each of the scenario groups share a little bit about their situation and what they thought of. Make sure to encourage students to think about both sides of a situation so that they have a wider range of possibilities to be able to make their decision from. There's some great follow-up questions on page 30 to help wrap up this conversation and to bring it to the real world, kind of bring it and all tie it and to tie it all back together. And then you can also have the students complete the self-assessment found on page 20 of their workbooks. Enjoy the session!